Boy, do I have a review for you. As everybody probably is aware, Us came out this weekend, and man, was I excited to see this film. Unfortunately, the theater that I live closest to did not have Us showing. Instead, it was doing reruns of Captain Marvel and Captive State, pretty much all the C movies. So I had to settle for seeing Gloria Bell. You're probably wondering, how could a movie be so aptly named? Apparently it's named after a song that they use in the movie. Fuck it. So, Gloria Bell is a film directed by some guy with the fucking woman's first name. Oh no, never mind. It's Sebastian Lelio, and he just plagiarized his 2013 movie, which was called Gloria, and made a shot-for-shot remake for American audiences because he likes money. I mean, who doesn't? And stars Jullianne Moore and fucking Arthur Turturro. Is that guy's name? No, John Turturro. Either fuck him. Fuck everybody in this movie. I don't give a shit how bad I sound. Fuck this movie. The movie was a pile of dog shit. So let's start with some analytics. The film has a few things going for it that are redeemable. Namely, the cut time is very long. The first few shots we see of Julianne Moore's character, Gloria, going through her day, going through her life, we'll have the camera with her and we'll be following her around, and then when it cuts, we'll go to a new scene. The first, I think, 8 scenes that we go through are all... the cuts only happen between scenes. There are no in-scene cuts. That I liked a lot. One, it establishes the pacing, that this is, she's more regular living. She gets up, she's got some difficulties with her life. She goes to work, she's lonely, she calls her kids, that doesn't work out. But, as we're going to work, it's very, monotonous, slow cut time. We feel like it's just a total grind. We feel like her life has hit a fucking standstill. So, the cutting in the film, I think, does pretty well. It doesn't ever seem that it's unmotivated in any way, and it isn't used... It doesn't hit Bohemian Rhapsody tier cutting, where it's cutting somebody pulling a chair open, cutting somebody's butt plopping into the chair, cutting somebody's reaction to the guy's butt plopping into the chair. We don't have... 69 cuts for 120 seconds of film, okay? We don't have that. But what we do have is just the most boringest fucking shit imaginable. Now, another thing the film does very well is that you'll have a conversation with two characters, and in any other film would have no balls. It would have two characters meeting, it'll be a little bit awkward, and there would be a lot of cutting, and the cutting would make the awkwardness it would feel less awkward, because you're basically, when you cut in a conversation where characters are meeting, you're kind of cutting out the dead parts of the conversation that make it more difficult to flow casually / create the awkward. Like when you cut a first time meeting between two characters and you're cutting the reactions to them, you are basically artificially creating the awkwardness between the characters that is devoid of acting. But when you don't cut, when you force the characters to develop that awkwardness between them to create that first meeting feeling, it can be done pretty well. And this film does that pretty effectively. The editing of the film isn't the problem, unfortunately. The editing is great. The sound design, the first, we follow Gloria going to work and going back to work, and basically there'll be some song that she's listening to. Most of the music in the film, is diegetic. It takes part in the story world, and most of the music relates to her current emotional state, whether she's I'm all out of love, that stupid shit like that. Basically, Julianne Moore plays a 50-year-old lady. If you have listened to any music from a Sandals Cruise commercial ever, or one of those compilations of love ballads from the 80s, any of that kind of shit, you've heard any of that music, this movie just has fucking all of it. It's fucking terrible. But yeah, you listen to her music, she sings along with the music, and the film takes... you could cut off a lot of fat in this film. A lot of worthless shit happens. There's not really a lot good to say anymore. The acting is the acting doesn't feel good ever. Like the characters feel like they had nothing to work with, and I don't blame them. There's seemingly no justification for why the characters do what they do except a few times in the plot. And I'll get to the plot later. Like it is you're gonna be I was sitting there in the theater, I'm just like, what the F is happening? I'm just sitting here like going like this, like what I mean when I wasn't otherwise I was like sleeping. I was legitimately trying to sleep during the film because it was so fucking boring. And when I wasn't trying to sleep, I was just sitting there scratching my monkey skull like, why is this character doing this? And I didn't miss anything, I gotta be honest. There were a few parts where I closed my eyes and I was just listening to the film because I thought that would make the film more interesting if I just heard the dialogue, but that didn't work at all. It was still so fucking boring. Oh my god. The interesting thing about this film is that the audience fucking loved it. It was a pretty decent crowd for the theater that I went to. There was about 10 of the people there, and they were laughing at tons of the jokes. I mean, no, there's not a joke in this film. There is not a single joke told in this fucking film. And anyone who tells you that this film is a comedy has never, has literally is a 9,000-year-old grandma who has never, heard a joke in their life. It's only comedy to people who are just so milquetoast and boring, and you gotta be super white, super privileged, super just fucking detached from everything. I mean, and that when I talk about the plot, you'll understand what I mean. But this is a very just fucking dumb white privileged bitch film. It's really disgusting. It's impossible to relate to, honestly. It's disgusting in a lot of ways. It pisses me off as oh god, just. You know that phrase, money can't buy happiness? The people, Jullianne Moore's character, Gloria Bell, and probably Jullianne Moore herself, are people that use that phrase. Basically people that have money, but they're so fucking stupid that they don't know why they're miserable, and they think it's well, I thought the money would make me happy, but it's not. And it's shut the fuck up, you literally have the easiest life because you have money. You don't have to worry about the fucking grind anymore. You have money. Shut up. Duh. But I'm still not happy. It's because you're a fucking soulless whore is what it is. That's Gloria Bell in a nutshell. She's a soulless whore. So there's not really much to get into other than the plot. So let me try to explain this. So as I said earlier, we follow Jullianne Moore to work, and she's miserable because she's 12 years divorced. And she goes to disco clubs and dances with dudes, and she tries to call her children to meet up with them, and they kind of flaky on her, but she meets up with them, and one of her children is Michael Cera, and Michael Cera is with a girl who's in the desert, but he's taking care of their child, so presumably he doesn't work, so once again, and they live in a pretty nice place, so a lot of privilege there. There is one non-privilege point that Jullianne Moore's character has, in that she has a lunatic upstairs neighbor that sounds like he's going to kill all of humanity. But we'll get into that later. Also, then Jullianne Moore meets up with her daughter, and her daughter's hot as fuck, but she has tattoos, so she's like a fucking 0 out of 10. And she's dating some Swedish dude that rides big waves. And that part's all pretty awkward and weird. And then, the next thing we know, the daughter's leaving. But then, who was leaving? Somebody was leaving? Oh, God, I don't fucking know. This is a film that is slice of life, American style. But the problem with slice of life, for Western slice of life is such a hard phrase to say, is so bad compared to, Eastern slice of life. So many... fucking, I gotta find what slice of life, SOL. So SOL in Japan, anime, it's so much better because they take the mundane and they make it interesting to watch. They understand what's interesting about the mundane aspects of the world. Where in this film, it takes the mundane and makes them even more boringer. And I don't think the editing is at fault at all. Some people might say the editing makes them boring because it has a very low cut, very low cut time, low amounts of cuts in the film. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just that they have a boring fucking main character that has no fucking personality or soul or anything. All she is some vacuous whore that the only reason she goes to the clubs, presumably, is because she's lonely. We don't know if she even really likes dancing. I mean, I know she says she loves dancing, but like, I mean, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you like dancing because of the social aspect, or did you like you know, like, it's a bunch of bullshit. But that's an potentially interesting aspect of the film, is that we don't know what happens in any of the minds of the characters, so we have to presume. And that is a little interesting. Not really, because there's not a whole lot going on up there. Jullianne, we can read Jullianne Moore's character's mind throughout the whole film, and she is just dumb as fuck. So yeah, Jullianne Moore works at an insurance company, and something happens. She has a co-worker who is nervous about having to work till 65 because her stock start going down or something, some about her 401k, and then she gets fired, and then that's it. And I was like, well, why was that character, like, she didn't really, other than one awkward scene where her and her coworker, Gloria and her coworker, yell at a building awkwardly to the camera, there's not really a point in her character existing. It was just total shit. It was very awkward. So eventually Gloria meets up with fucking Arthur or Arnold. Oh yeah, John Turturro's character Arnold in the disco, and he's not charming at all, which is fine. I mean, he doesn't have to be charming. He just has to be a match for her. But I don't really get a feeling that they're a match at all. Like, it's very bizarre. So they dance together and some stuff in the disco, and then they go back to her place to bang it out. And then when she's undressing him, he either has like a colostomy bag or a diaper, and she has to like or at first I thought maybe he had like velcroed like body armor or some shit, but like that definitely not body armor. I think he has but the way she pulled it off side. I don't fucking know. They don't explain it. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna say he has a colostomy bag. That's what he's got. He's got a fucking shit tank tapped to the side of his body or some shit. I don't fucking know. They don't explain it in the film. They just awkwardly bring it up every single time they take his clothes off. Whatever. That's fine. I don't care. It's dumb as fuck, but whatever. So then they do it, and then they're hanging out again at some point, and then, oh no, they go to a fancy restaurant that's like at this like high-rise building, and Arnold gets a call, and it seems like he's talking to some other lover, and she's like, oh, I thought you were divorced, and he's like, oh yeah, I am, but you know, I'm not, I got the kids, you know. So you think, oh, so there's like some baggage with him. I mean, you know, Gloria has kids too, so it's reasonable, you know, they can make this work, right? But that's all that's said. And then the same situation happens again, where this time Arnold is reading Gloria poetry, and the poetry starts off very bad and awkward. It's like, oh, if you were a glass, I'd be the water, and if you were a boat, then I'd be a tub, and blah, blah. It's a fucking shit. And at the end of the poem, it almost redeems itself. It gets a little kind of cute, where it's like, oh, if you were a heart, then I would be the blood, and some about trees and roots, and it got a little romantic at the end, but without being just completely like you complete me as kind of bullshit. I mean, it was very derivative, but the reaction Gloria's character has to this poem as if Arnold has said the most beautiful thing in the world, and she's like crying, and it's like, oh, like, this is what, you're a 50-year-old woman, have some self-respect, this is what's winning you over, really? Like, this is something like a 16-year-old tells to another 16-year-old, and like they haven't heard any poetry before, so they're really impressed with it. This is like something that I fucking did when I was in high school. Like, I didn't know what was good or bad. Like, you know, I mean, the stuff that I liked when I was that age, at least the poetry was still pretty good, so I have good taste. But like, this is worse than anything that I liked when I was 16. This lady's 50. What the fuck? Like, have you just not engaged with art in like 50 years and you were impressed by that? Oh, but anyway, Arnold gets another call, and this time Gloria's kind of mad, so she kind of like scoots him out or becomes cold and stops taking his calls. And then in the meantime, she like goes to a yoga session. Oh yeah, she went to a yoga session with her daughter, and that was just like that was hilarious. The audience was fucking cracking up at that, where she just like the joke was is that she couldn't bend over good, even though it was her first time at yoga. We find out later, and like so she did a really fucking good job actually. But just like she's just like, oh, where do I put my face? Oh, I'll just slam my face in the ground, like, and that was hilarious. The audience was losing their minds in this movie. I gotta be honest, I did not fucking get it. This is a movie I did not fucking understand. You got to be a woman between the ages of 40 and 70 to like this movie. Holy shit. Oh, and then at some point after that, she is in a laugh. She's in a circle of people, and I think they're all holding hands. And oh no, they're gonna do some like chicken dance thing. They're all like, oh, put your arms in here, and then whack your arms, and then do some shit. And then they all start laughing like lunatics. And then it cuts, and they're all laying on top of each other like crisscross, 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 all laughing like lunatics. And I'm just like, where is the character? How did she get there? Who are these people? Like, what the fuck is going on? And presumably, it's just like a one-off scene. We never see who those people were. We don't know what her daily life is with that. We don't understand if that's the first time she's been there. She goes there a lot. What the fuck's going on at all? Holy shit. There's so many one-off things that happen in this film that have no bearing on the plot or story that just blow your fucking mind. So I'm gonna try to like skip through a ton of shit to just get to like the dumb fucks of the plot. So Gloria and Arnold aren't really talking. Arnold's trying to talk to her, but Gloria doesn't want to have it for whatever reason. And then eventually she just like picks up the phone, and then Arnold is going to Gloria's son's birthday party. Why Gloria is having a birthday party for her 35-year-old son that includes her, Gloria's daughter, Gloria's ex-husband, Gloria's ex-husband's new wife, and then Arnold, who she awkwardly introduces as her friend. It's like, what the fuck? This is the worst situation ever. And it gets really bad because at one point, like they've all been drinking, and it's like really awkward and weird, and Michael Cera plays some fucking studio song on a fucking hipster douchebag piano, and the ex-husband and Gloria are chatting it up, and you can tell the ex-husband still wants to fuck Gloria. Like Gloria looks way hotter than his new wife. And they're talking, they're looking at old photos, and he's like, oh, we were so in love. And she's like, oh no, we were so mistake. So like, he's like, oh man, I still want to bang. But she's like, oh no, I don't want to bang anymore. You know, that's basically what you're reading the subtext is what's going on. But during this whole time, like, Arnold is pushed more and more out of the frame, pushed more and more to the background, and then the other characters don't even like recognize him or look at him. And then eventually when that conversation happens with Gloria and the ex, he just gets up and leaves. And you think, like, as a guy, like, you're walking into a nightmare situation. You're walking into a girl you're dating, you're not introduced as the boyfriend. Now that's partly Arnold's fault, but the girl you're like kind of, well, they're banging, you know, that like is getting obviously like I want to still bang you signs from the ex, even though like he's got his wife there. Like, she doesn't seem to give a fuck. Like, it's pretty awkward. So Arnold just gets up and leaves, and he kind of no calls her for a while, which is understandable. I mean, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, fuck this shit, I'm getting this is a total nightmare situation. Like, why did you? And then, you know, that's what he says. He's like, why did you invite me in that situation? Like, I just, you know, I looked for your eyes and I couldn't see you anywhere. Like, there's a really good line that actually in the film. There's like one good line, right? That's like the one good line that Arnold says to Gloria later on. And she has no rebuttal. She has no response. She doesn't even give a fuck what she did. She at no point she never thinks about the situations that she puts other people in, or the difficulties that she causes other people, or the stress on other people's lives, or she has just zero accountability. She actually blames Arnold for leaving, and she finds no fault of her own. So the film needed to develop some more shit to go on, because the plot between her and Arnold was like so paper thin and shitty that we have to have other things happen, namely some drama. So Gloria comes home, and then the renting person above her is like just going fucking apeshit crazy. And then we have this long, like 5 minute scene where Gloria's calling the landlord, who is the mom of the tenant upstairs, and she's like, "Oh, your son. I think he might be. He's something. He's having a mental breakdown. Please just listen." It takes her so fucking long to get that sentence out. I actually just wanted to just tear the screen down. Like, fuck any theater that play in this movie. Fuck it to death. Holy shit. So then what happens next time is that Gloria's in her house and she's getting a bunch of bangs at the door from the psycho tenant upstairs. Now, any rational woman who isn't into weird rape fantasies would just, hey, leave or I'm going to call the cops. Oh, he's not leaving? Okay, I'm calling the cops. And then you call the cops. Maybe you don't even tell him you're calling the cops. You just fucking do it anyway if you don't want to get raped to death. But Gloria's not too intelligent. And this film was written by a retard who's incredibly privileged and doesn't have to worry about actual psychopaths ever hurting them. So instead, Gloria's just like, you're confused. You're at the wrong door. Leave me alone. I mean, the dude's like basically you're like, open the fucking door. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like he's just. It's written as a character. It's the tenant upstairs, the crazy person. He is written as if he's like a video gamer. That's written by people who've never played video games before, but they also think video games cause autism and violence, is how that guy is written in the film. It is ridiculous. Anyway, here's the big twist. It turns out he was only there to give her some marijuana. Look, I've known a lot of stoners in my life, but nobody that has like that level of like psychotic fucking yelling and screaming is like, oh, this person fucking ratted on me that I'm a psycho to my mom. Oh, I'm gonna go give them a bag of marijuana while also yelling at them like a psycho. Like, what the fuck? Who wrote, like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Nothing in this movie makes any sense. And now I'm gonna get to the big part that really doesn't make any sense. So, a bunch of dumb shit happens. None of it matters. Who cares? Arnold and Gloria get back together. There's no explanation for this other than Gloria is just alone and she's lonely. That's it. That's the only explanation. We're not given one in the film. We have to make up one. That's my explanation. And then they go to Las Vegas and they're hanging out and having a good time. And then while she's in the bathroom, Arnold gets a call and apparently his ex-wife went through a window. Like she walked through a window and it's like, oh, it was too clean. And I think that was supposed to be the audience I was with. I didn't go with anybody, but the audience in the theater, they did not laugh at that joke. That joke fell flat in the fucking floor. That's the one time they attempted comedy, and it did not work at all. Nobody laughed at that. And the reason is because it was one of the few serious scenes in the film. It was one of the defining dramatic, emotional conflict moments where we're going to have a big decision that's going to be made. And you include this joke about, oh, my ex-wife walked through one of the sliding doors. Turns out it was cleaned too well. And it doesn't even match with the tone in that scene at all. It was so fucking inappropriate and bad. Anyway, he's like, no, I'm not going to let them tear us apart. I'm so mad about this. And it's like, tear us apart? What are you talking about? Like, what is this? Like, dude, like, what the fuck? Huh? Is this how 50-year-olds deal with relationships? It's so fucking weird. It's more immature than fucking high schoolers. It's pathetic. And then Arnold abandons Gloria in Las Vegas. And Gloria has to call her mom to just comfort her and bring her home. Oh, one thing happens before that. This is the reason why Gloria is a dumb bitch and deserves all the pain that she gets in her life. Is that before Arnold abandons her, but after Arnold learns about the situation or whatever, they go to eat food at some restaurant and the phone's ringing and he's like, oh, I'm done with this thing. And then she like takes his phone and puts it in the soup and she's like spinning around and giggling. And he clearly doesn't find that fucking funny. Like, I don't find that funny. Like, oh, I have some obligations back home. I'm not going to attend to them, but I still would like my phone for other things. There's things on my phone that I would like. And then she just puts his phone in the soup and giggles like a fucking dumb privileged bitch. Like, oh, cell phone costs, a couple $100, but tee I can destroy yours. That's fine. I don't have to worry about those kinds of expenses, so I can just inflict that kind of damage on you. Tee. Good, Gloria. This is why you're single. You're an unlikable whore who's a stupid bitch who destroys other people's property. Fuck off. Holy shit. So she has to whine to mom, and mom comes back. Mom's also fucking loaded, but the mom pretends that she's not loaded because fucking white people, right? Like, oh my god, I'm only retiring on $5 million. How will I survive? Like, fuck off. So Gloria ends up back home, and some dumb shit happens, and then she goes to her friend who's a hates assault rifles, even though they don't commit that many. I don't know. That was a weird scene in the film. But anyway, she goes to her friend's daughter's wedding, and that chick was also hot as shit. And she goes to her wedding, or no, she goes to a reception, and then she just dances, and then the song Gloria plays, and then it's like, it's this weird, like, she's like slowly getting into it and dancing, and it's supposed to be like really therapeutic and emotionally uplifting and shit at the end of the film. Honestly, to me, all it is look at me. I'm a privileged white woman. I'm middle class in Las Vegas or in LA. I have an insurance job that obviously pays me enough to live in a fucking huge ass fuck apartment. Sure, you have a tenant upstairs who's crazy, but you have a lot of things going for you. You have two children who seem to be pretty well adapted, although living a little abnormal lives. Your mom's rich as fuck. You have no concern about like the financial expenses in your life because you don't seem to have really any worries about that. The only problem in your life is self-created, is that you are a fucking worthless human being. You don't know what makes you happy, and because of that, you seek out worthless relationships at the age of 50. Like, that's why you're miserable. Like, oh god, like, I don't understand who this film is appreciated by, because like the characters are terrible, the writing for the most part is fucking awful, but there are a few gems in it. But there's nothing to care about. Like, the film just ends. Like, I wanted her to die or get hit by a car or something meaningful to happen, but nothing ever fucking happens. Nothing ever changes. And that's the course. Of course, she's gonna live like a dumb, vacuous whore her entire life till she dies, and that's gonna be it. And this movie really is just a good warning against just growing up without ever developing any important sense of self or any fucking principles or any character. Like, if you just spend all your days worrying about like fucking the next time you get to drink or party or any fucking vacuous shit like that, this is the character you end up like. And man, you should watch this film, because as bored as you are with this film, that's how bored you are going to be with yourself when you grow up, you dumb whore. Fuck you. Fuck this movie.